I might be recording this a little bit earlier in the day. However, I do think that the market is going to continue waking up from this point on. HBAR is now up almost 7% in the last 7 days. And I know that that's not a crazy percentage to be up in 1 week, but hey, it is a very good start in terms of the reversal. And just taking a quick look at the daily real quick. I mean, we are looking very, very good here on the daily. This is a very good sign of some strength and momentum building behind the scenes for HBAR. And just taking a quick look at the 1 month, we are still down about 9.62%. So this is still giving us a slight opportunity to accumulate a little bit more HBAR on the lows while we wait for the big reversal. This is what the 1 year looks like. We're still up 359%. Trading volume, by the way, up almost 50% in the last 24 hours at about roughly 253 million. Nothing too crazy there. But again, just taking a quick look at the price chart, it looks as though we're trying to squeeze out of this wedge on TradingView. And the MACD and also the RSI are kind of giving us something to look at here. And what do I mean by that? Well, take a quick look at the chart. Both of these are about to have a major cross. This is at a time where the price chart is just chopping and squeezing on the weekly, waiting for a big break. And this reminds me back to June. We started to have a recovery towards the end of June, as you guys can see here on the chart. All right. And this is where the RSI started to cross. Now, at the same exact time, on the next candle, we saw the cross on the MACD. And that's when we started to turn and flip from bearish momentum into bullish momentum. The only difference here is that our bullish momentum has been cooling off, and it looks as though this could start to flip back into bullish momentum. I don't think that we go into bearish momentum like back here. I think that we are about to witness a major cross for the first time since going back to June into July on both the MACD and RSI. But this is almost at the same exact time. I mean, this could very well lead to some very significant bullish price action on HBAR if this plays out perfectly. Now, again, the last time prior to the summer cross, the last time that we had a cross on both of these charts was back here in October into November, which is why I do think that we could start to see a big uptrend happen here and form on the chart for HBAR, especially leading into the 17th with the Fed's decision on rate cuts. It looks as though we're going to get our first official rate cut from the Fed. If we are going to see that at the time where most of the price charts for altcoins looks like this, well, guess what? I'm very excited about what happens next, because if that is the case, these charts are going to break out, and we are not that far away from those previous highs from the beginning of this year. And let's just be honest, those highs are not too far away from those 2021 all-time highs for HBAR. So yeah, I think now is the best time to be locked in on what's happening with the price chart of HBAR. But beyond that, let's take a quick look at what's been happening around the ecosystem for Hedera, because we've been witnessing some pretty big updates from within the Hedera ecosystem. This one is from JPeep. We have what's next for SushiSwap Labs in 2025. Quarter 3, 2025. Mobile launches, their mobile app launches for SushiSwap. This is definitely going to be a very exciting one. We've been anticipating it. We've been waiting on it because it's going to be really connecting any mobile phone user into the DeFi Hedera ecosystem. So very excited about that. Also, quarter 4 of this year, Axelar and Layer 0 integration. Love this because you guys know me. I've been talking about Axelar for quite some time now on the channel. I really do think that that's the key player to really connect all of these networks with one another, because again, they've connected already 81 chains. XRP is one of them. Hedera is going to be another top tier one that they add to the list. Axelar is definitely a big gem. If you guys haven't looked into it already, I do suggest everyone to take a quick look at it, do a little bit of research, because I'm sure that you're going to really kind of look at it and say, wow, I can't believe this thing is as cheap as it is. But beyond that, I love this integration because it means that HBAR is going to be connected to 81 plus chains, which allows the DeFi space on Hedera to grow and really become interconnected with all of those additional DeFi giants that are connected to Axler already and Layer 0. So love that. And then also Q4 of this year, limit, stop loss, and DCA orders as well. So again, love this. I think that this is great, especially leading into 2026 with some additional big updates from SushiSwap, which is like perpetual futures, and also V3. But it looks as though, you know, Q4 is looking pretty good for Axler. Or sorry, for SushiSwap, because again, that Axler integration is going to open up a ton of opportunities for the Hedera DeFi space. And I just think that this is going to be great for the DeFi, you know, world in general for Hedera and for SushiSwap Labs. Now, this leads me into this next big announcement that we saw from SushiSwap, which was on the 8th. This is just yesterday. They are proud to join the MiCA Alliance as a verified member. This is extremely exciting to see because we have been following the MiCA Alliance for quite some time. It's backed by some big names from the space, including Hedera and Ripple. Aptos is on there as well. But, you know, we love this because we've talked about Ripple and Hedera for years. And, you know, when this first came up that the MiCA Alliance was coming together, you know, I was like, wow, this is another big collaboration between two giants in the space. I'm very excited about it. And I feel like it kind of confirmed the idea that we are seeing a very collaborative effort in the space to make sure that Web3 and crypto becomes a very significant success. And, you know, this is just another big move around the Hedera ecosystem that allows the DeFi space on Hedera to become that big, well-known, compliant player that people can look at and say, well, you know what, they are a part of this MiCA Alliance. It seems as though this is fully compliant. And it just kind of puts it into a different level, if you will, when it comes to, you know, a DeFi ecosystem like SushiSwap. So I love to see this. I think that this is great. And we have here that we're working to make DeFi compliance on Hedera faster, cheaper, and more transparent, building within sustainable regulatory frameworks. And again, those regulations and having that compliance first nature, that's very significant, and it goes a long way when it comes to institutional DeFi, which I do think is going to become a big reality on Hedera. Right now, yes, it's mostly retail, but, you know, I could definitely see institutional DeFi becoming a big piece of the Hedera ecosystem. And just taking a quick look at the announcement from MiCA Alliance, we do have welcome SushiSwap to the MiCA Alliance. SushiSwap Labs is an open source non-custodial trading protocol on the Hedera network, advancing DeFi through efficient markets, concentrated liquidity, and sustainable design. On joining the team shared, the MiCA Alliance is breaking down the barrier between regulators and innovators by making compliance faster, cheaper, and more transparent. SushiSwap Labs is proud to contribute to this effort, ensuring DeFi on Hedera grows within clear, sustainable regulatory frameworks. We look forward to working together to build a transparent and compliant future for the crypto industry. And again, compliant first DeFi. I mean, this is something that we don't really hear about quite often in the space. So the fact that we have this on Hedera goes a long way. So very excited about this. I think that it's great. And again, if we just go over to MiCA Crypto Alliance's website, we could see that this is a collaborative effort to make sure that the crypto industry is compliant and working with regulators within the EU region. That's where MiCA officially became a big deal. And we have here, meet the institution shaping MiCA compliance and sustainability. Again, you have the founding members here. And then you also have a few other members. XDC is on here. And yeah, I mean, guys, they just continue to expand rapidly and work together to make sure that these big players and the technology behind them can be tapped in these specific areas. So I think that this is great to see. I think that it's great for the Hedera DeFi world as well. And again, the DeFi world on Hedera is still around $116 million. I know that it's not a massive amount of money, but you got to remember that the market is still bouncing back. And if we go back to that price chart, I mean, HBAR looks as though it wants to break out here. We still have to be patient, but you know, if we are going to see HBAR break out, then the TVL on Hedera is also going to grow rapidly. And at this point, with all of the big fresh launches on Hedera around the DeFi protocols, because we have a very significant list now. We have 18 officially on Hedera. I do think that Hedera is primed for significant DeFi adoption and growth. And SushiSwap, still number 2 on this list, $78 million tied to them. I do see that number growing significantly, especially with the launch of the mobile application. I think that that's going to be a big game changer. Now, on top of all of this, I do want to bring up this announcement going back to August 15th, because we just got more confirmation of this. So on August 15th, we got a big update, and it was today marks an acceleration of institutional grade RWAs on Hedera with Swarm markets, bringing tokenized stocks like Apple, Tesla, and gold natively to the network. Now, we talked about this. This was great, especially considering the fact that, again, it's another big tokenization move on Hedera. And, if we're thinking about this, we go over here to this announcement. So this was on September 3rd. We have major milestone. Apple, Tesla, and MicroStrategy stocks launch on Hedera, powered by HBAR via Swarm Markets and Hedera Foundation. Tokenized RWAs, programmable assets, digital financial system runs on Hashgraph. Here we have an update from Hedera Hashgraph or Hedera Foundation on September 8th. By bringing tokenized stocks like Apple and Tesla on-chain, Swarm Markets bridges TradFi and Hedera DeFi together. Check this out.
From the Hedera Foundation was really to focus on seeing how we can bridge the two financial worlds, right? The traditional market of equities and the new digital asset economy. And the collaboration with Swarm is exactly that. So by bringing companies like Apple and Tesla and MicroStrategy on-chain in a regulated way, we're showing that these two spaces don't have to remain separate. So what does this mean for retail investors? It's about access and possibility. You don't need a full brokerage account or a large amount of capital to participate, and you can hold a fraction of a blue chip stock directly into your wallet. Now, this makes diversification a lot easier, and over time, it means that your holdings can also be put to work in new ways, like lending and collateralization, which we're going to be speaking more about. And for institutions, it's about efficiency and flexibility. So once equities are on-chain, they're not static anymore. They become programmable, and they can integrate into digital infrastructure and flow into automated strategies. So it really moves the significance from equities being simple exposures to being actually active and active components of a modern financial system.
So yeah, I mean, listen, when we think about what's launching on Hedera, I mean, these things are definitely big. We just talked about recently Ondo releasing like 103 tokenized stocks. Tokenized stocks have been growing, $421+ million tied to them. Ondo is definitely a big name here, but Swarm is number 7 on the list. I know that they don't have a major amount of money tied to them, but hey, they are on the list, and I do think that that number will grow over time. We just have to kind of wait and see what happens here, but I definitely do think that this is a big player that we need to watch in this space. A lot of the money that's tied back to Swarm is already with Polygon, but we still have yet to see Hedera being tracked on RWA.xyz. We've been talking about it. We've been waiting patiently for it. But I do think that this will grow. I think that this will become a much bigger piece of the tokenization world. I mean, right now, tokenized stocks are kind of early still. There is a lot of regulatory obstacles that they need to get through to really release tokenized stocks on chain, which we did here with Ondo. But I do think that once we start to see all of those things kind of get phased out through regulatory moves, the Clarity Act is coming up. That's a big one to watch. But these things are going to become accelerated more and more. We're going to start to see, the ease of tokenization become a reality. And once we start to see that and all of these obstacles kind of get removed, I think that tokenized value on chain is going to grow rapidly. I mean, right now, we have about $27.8 billion tied to the space. In terms of public networks, it's about $16 billion. Stocks, like I said, only $420+ million. It's a very small amount of money. So, again, this space is very early, but we're starting to see a lot of adoption around Hedera in this space, which is very exciting to see because we are at that point where we kind of have the front runner advantage here. Yes, there's a lot of great networks tied back to tokenized stocks, as you guys can see just from the networks here, but these values are easy to rival once we start to see a lot of value tied to these networks unleashed. And I think that Hedera with Swarm Markets could definitely build up the ranks here in terms of like public networks, because again, if we're just looking at the platforms here, Swarm only has about 0.9 million compared to some of these other values, which is like in the almost $100+ million mark. So that's a very easy number to rival against if we could start to see some pretty big growth here. But overall, again, a lot of moves happening around the Hedera ecosystem. I think that, going into quarter 4, we're going to see a lot of these charts breaking out. The overall chart setup here for HBAR, in my opinion, looks very good from RSI to MACD to even just the actual chart. I mean, we are squeezing, and we're squeezing in this sort of downtrend flag. I mean, we're in this descending flag, and I'm just waiting for this thing to break out so that we could retarget some of the previous highs. We still need to clear this resistance going back to roughly like the beginning of the year. But once we clear that, we'll probably target those highs going back to January, which will lead to the inevitable retest of the 2021 all-time high and possibly price discovery as well. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out, guys.